Welcome to CoBB, Conversations on the Business of Brands with Sudeep Chawla and Sharavana Raghavan.
You started doing a lot of this TED Talks, right? And with that, you seem to have learned a new skill,
Which is?
clickbait. Who has a podcast episode called Want, Fear, Marketer? What do you mean by that?
See, your first accusation is wrong. I've not started doing a lot of TED Talks. I've just done two, number one. Yeah.
That's two more than most people, right?
And isn't one of the first tasks of marketing is to first attract attention
Mhm.
and then try to convince, right?
Right.
So as a marketer, one of the first things that the least that we can do is attract attention.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Therefore,
hence,
clickbait is justified.
yeah. When I talk about job of a marketer, obviously the job of a marketer very clearly is to create some kind of unique proposition and positioning for their product or a brand, a product service brand, so that the consumer desires it at at frequent intervals or at whatever intervals the need arises. Now we've spoken about this earlier, Sharon, that one of the core jobs of a marketer is to know their consumer very well. We also gave it a name called hyper empathy. How can you hyper empathize with your consumers? And then, obviously you'll be able to know their motivations, their joys of life, get to know them as a person rather than just a consumer of your product or your category. That's the route to creating this kind of a unique proposition and getting them to desire it.
Right.
Now, when I was thinking about this particular aspect, that finally as a marketer, what is it that you use from whatever you understood from the consumer and what do you communicate? It actually to me boiled down to only two things.
Huh.
Either it is a want or it is a fear.
Okay. Interesting. So you've taken the insight and you're saying you're boiling it down to a point of action. And that point of action is driven primarily by two emotions. Either they want to do something or they're afraid and therefore they're forced to act on something. I don't completely disagree. I get where you're going with this. Can you do this with a few examples if possible?
Sure. It occurred to me when I was trying to think through all the campaigns that I know, and I was trying to cut them into these two axes. Which one is a want and which was is a fear. So, for example, a lot of the eatables, like say Silk, Cadbury Silk, Maggie, right? Maggie chahiye mujhe abhi. Or दाग अच्छे हैं, Surf Excel, right? And campaigns like these are all campaigns that try to create want amongst consumers, right? So, for example, Silk will say, they will show such a yummylicious chocolate experience that you desire, you want that experience. You want to at least experience it once. Right?
That's the indulgent emotion it triggers, right? Okay.
Correct. Similarly, Maggie will show those instant hunger moments, where you are either bonding with your parents or your friends or your siblings, etc. And hence, small hunger being satiated at that point in time with some, mom's magic, put in some vegetables and stuff like that. So that becomes your Maggie area.
So you're saying the want does not have to be triggered by one specific emotion. It could be indulgence. It could be just a pointing out of an opportunity, of a problem solution. It could be anything.
Could be anything.
Okay. So I have this government campaigns, right? So they don't necessarily talk about a want. They spread awareness. So that's not want or fear. How would you classify that?
Actually, that's an interesting one, Sharon. In fact, I created a special category of government campaigns because I was thinking through, even the government campaigns can be split into two. Now, if you remember, there was this campaign about milk. By the National Dairy Board or something.
Right.
Doodh hai wonderful, pee sakte ho, rose glass full.
Yeah.
So may they extol all the positive virtues of milk.
Right.
They will show people exercising, somebody building their body, somebody being very active, somebody excelling at school because they are drinking milk. So it was clearly in the want side of the things, right? Similarly, there was a campaign by uh I don't know what is that body called, NECC or something,
Egg ka.
National Egg Council or something,
Okay.
that they said Sunday ho ya Monday rose khao ande types,
Right.
right? So that again was in a want side of it,
So you still
right?
classify them as a want, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, definitely. They're giving you some kind of imagery
Mm-hmm.
which you want. You would want to have that imagery on you, and
They're giving
hence,
aspiration with an imagery, saying you want to be that muscular bodybuilding or
correct,
all the
correct.
happy
Which of
situations.
these you want? If you want to be there, this is the route to it,
Okay.
right? So therefore, government also has created that. Now let's move to the second bucket, which is fear.
Sure.
Right now, fear, I see advertising all around waterproofing category, for example, right, where almost everybody shows that, your roof is leaking, something else is leaking, your house has turned bad, it is a problem for your reputation, etc., etc. So that's creation of fear, right? We saw a boom in this sector, which is your education, online education sector,
Yes.
right? It is about the fact that there is always this insecurity that parents have, which is about, am I providing sufficiently for my kid? And am I raising today's kids by yesterday's norms? Right. So you're always unsure. And hence that is the fear they were preying on.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Similarly, if you remember, there was this new brand that came into India called Sebamed.
Yeah. German. The pH. They educated people
pH.
on pH when people
Yeah.
didn't
So the
understand anything about pH, right?
anything, but the first thing that they said, that this is more than all your regular soaps, etc., are all very high pH,
I
and
remember
therefore
one
there is a
image where they
problem.
had the pH strip on a detergent bar and on the
Yeah,
competition bar. I said,
correct.
that's how high a pH is. And
Is
that's such a fear trigger. You're right. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's there, and in fact, similarly, you asked about government.
Yeah.
Almost all of us would have seen the Mukesh campaign about smoking.
Right.
Mera naam Mukesh hai and stuff like that, right?
Right.
This anti-smoking campaign or helmet campaign, etc., etc., all fear creation campaigns.
Right. Even the smoking packet, the branding of the cancer on the pack is
Yeah, yeah,
about instilling fear, right?
correct.
But here there's the fear of dissuading action. I think
Uh,
don't do it.
So the what is the aim? Aim is to prevent consumption of a category.
Hmm.
How do you prevent consumption? By creating fear of consequences,
Right.
right?
Right.
So therefore, the marketer, which in this case is government, employing fear to get armed public to follow us.
So
Yes.
from what you said, Sudeep, this says you said chocolates and noodles are all based on want, creating a want, as in you create an aspiration, you want people will want to buy it and consume it. And there are problem solution issues saying if you don't do this, you'll miss out. So the FOMO based categories. So are you saying that all brands in the same category would behave the same way? As in, do all chocolates have to be about want, and do all education brands have to be about fear?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, when I was trying to think about rules of this,
Hmm.
my discovery, Sharon, was that there are actually no rules.
Okay.
Different brands in the same category have followed different paths.
Please give me examples. I can't.
So
I'm
I'll
really not able to recall a few.
I'll give you a very interesting one. Same company,
Hmm.
same product,
Hmm.
same product category, different brands has followed both routes.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's talk about Asian Paints.
Hmm.
Right now, Asian Paints, when they market their luxury paints
Hmm.
like Royal Atmos, these are all their internal paint range,
Right.
interior walls,
Right.
where you see all your Deepika Padukone and other stars
Right.
featuring there. Those ads are all about creating a want or a desire amongst a certain segment for
Hmm.
their walls to look in a certain manner,
Hmm.
so that it reflects on their reputation and all of that, right? So so that's one side of the business. The
Right.
second side of the business is their economy,
Huh.
where they talk about your the absolute base side, which is tractor, or in fact
Mhm.
the latest ads of there, which is latest launch of there called Neo Bharat. They've just launched a paint where they've signed up Virat Kohli,
Okay.
and
Mhm.
they launched it with a TVC. So while they've given it a positive twist towards the end, the core insight is that bad walls kind of create this
Embarrassment.
your bad impression, embarrassment in society, right?
Mhm.
So same brand, same mother brand, same category, but employing want at one side, fear at the other side, right?
Right.
And you will find that similarly, when I was thinking about it, insurance industry, for example, has undergone this change from fear led advertising for a very long time to now more emotive, more want based advertising, right? Similarly, Safola at one point in time used to be all about showing the fat working husbands, and therefore them suddenly having a heart attack, or wife dreaming that her husband is having a heart attack, and then suddenly she's switching the oil, to now wives becoming proactive, showing care, etc. Well, the category still remains the same, but so over a period of time, when I think creating fear is slightly easier,
Okay.
it's a very basic emotion, raw emotion that you can tap into.
Okay.
Creating want possibly slightly more difficult,
Mhm.
and therefore categories go through this progression of first tapping into the very base emotion, and hopefully over a period of time finding a niche in the wants that the consumer has.
If I were to turn it around, Sudeep, would it be
Hmm.
fair to say that a category entry is driven by fear and
Hmm.
upgrade is driven by want?
Possibly upgrade, switch,
Hmm.
sometimes even switch,
Hmm.
right? That's also there. Why? And that's those are the sort of examples that we have seen frequently.
Hmm.
Although these are not rules,
Right.
right? Of course, you can create category entry via want also, but yes, over a period of time, that is how we have seen a lot of categories evolving.
Yeah, I think there are some categories which are predisposed to want, right? Like
Hmm.
you mentioned, silk, chocolates. I don't think chocolates, they are a happiness product. I don't think chocolates can really be built on fear unless it is a campaign against a bad infested brand you're talking about and you want to replace that.
So, for example, look at the whole truth. Look at the marketing of the whole truth.
Is that fear?
It is fear. I think a lot of the advertising of the whole truth is about exposing lots of chemicals that are contained in every product that we eat,
Hmm.
similar to food farmer. But there are fear roots to it also,
Hmm.
right?
Very interesting. Okay.
Very a very small example, but promos.
Hmm.
You create FOMO, right?
Right.
So when Kinder Joy has a particular range of products from a particular franchise,
Right.
they will want to create FOMO. That's also fear,
Limited edition and all that. You're right.
limited edition and all else. So therefore, yeah, so it's an interesting one
Hmm.
where people have found different uses for fear as well as want at different stages of brands.
Okay. But then I have a different question to put to you now.
Okay.
You kind of answered all the questions so far and kind of convinced me that want and fear can work in different ways.
Yes,
What about service brands? Can a service brand ever be built on fear? Because service is almost a personal thing, right?
it is. It truly is. And in fact, I can think of multiple examples
Okay.
of fear in service, right? So there was Make My Trip with Alia Bhatt and
Ranveer Singh.
Ranveer Singh,
Right.
where Ranveer Singh tries to, get the best deal, etc., etc.,
Right.
and therefore, and every time he tries to do that, he is shortchanged,
Right.
right? And then Alia says that Make My Trip hai na, is pe aao, it does all of this easily, etc., etc. But bulk of the advertising is about the fact that if you go to somebody else,
Hmm.
they will shortchange you. That is
Right.
fear, right? Similarly, and a lot of them have done this. Yes, a lot of there was a campaign on hotels, for example, that you book the hotel via the website, etc. The description was fairly flowery, But when they land up there, they find the hotel was in complete shambles, etc., etc.
I think
So
a
make
lot of
my
us have
trip,
had that experience. Yeah.
so make my trip assured. They will change it.
They
24-hour call
accentuate the
center.
pain point of
Yeah,
not having worked with them to kindle that fear and saying,
correct.
avoid these situations again. Okay.
Correct. So that's the fear side of things.
Okay.
Obviously, a lot of the hotels, etc., work on the want side. They'll show you such beautiful aspects of their service that
Hmm.
you would really want to go stay with them, etc. Needless to say, right?
Right.
Now, when I was thinking about it, one of an interesting one that occurred to me was e-commerce. E-commerce employs want as well as fear in the same go.
Okay.
So
Explain.
when you open an Amazon site or a Flipkart site, you see this beautiful catalog,
Hmm.
nicely done with all kind of reviews, etc.,
That's the
etc.
want.
They'll create a want for a
Hmm.
category.
Hmm.
Once you've chosen the category and you've looked at the page and you've possibly added it to your basket, but you've still not purchased. Suppose you flip out
Hmm.
or you're about to abandon your cart, you go somewhere else. That is where you start getting these messages that this deal is running out. This
Hmm.
deal is only for the next 10 hours, right?
That's
If you
right.
if you order now, you will get free delivery next day. So avail next day delivery, order in the next 10 minutes, right? What
Right.
is that? That is fear.
Yeah. You mentioned that for promos also, right? The same
Correct.
concept
Correct. So
applies here.
they've kind of thought about this and they've said that top of the funnel, I need to create sufficient desire or want. And when the people keep coming down, that is where I create sufficient fear so that I lead them into action.
Wow. That's wonderfully put. Okay. Now you're answering all questions now and convincing me also. So I'll ask you a better question, a tougher question. You said want is easier to create. A want communication is easier to create.
No, fear
A fear is
communication
easier
is.
to create versus
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
What about the effectiveness? What is more effective? Is creating fear more effective? Because there are so many government PSAs that have just struggled to drive action with citizens. And there are so many aspirational brands which struggle to drive penetration because they're creating the want. So, which one in your books is more effective as a marketing tool?
Before I answer that one, for the record, government has a tough job
Of course.
because the kind of habits they are trying to advertise against,
And the sheer scale of it, right? It's not going to be easy.
scale, we have these ingrained habits that they are trying to change. So difficult one.
Brands struggle to change consumer behavior for generations, right? So it's
Correct.
not that easy. And almost all of government ads are about behavior change.
Behavior change. And the fact is that, over generations, the generations changed and everybody you need to start from zero all over again. So I must say that government has a tough job at their hand. And I'm not sure what is the kind of marketers they have at their disposal. But coming to your question, Sharon, I honestly, when I thought long and hard about it, I honestly think that I don't think any of them is more effective than the other.
Okay.
I think it depends on two fundamental factors.
Hmm.
One is how well have you understood your consumer to know that either the want or the fear is going to work in that consumer's case.
Hmm.
And number two, your ability to portray that want or fear in your communication.
Hmm.
You might have identified in the right manner, but if you're not able to portray it very well, it will not create any action. So it is your ability to abstract and then your ability to portray.
You're basically saying you might have the story, but the screenplay is even more important.
Screenplay is very critical. So first, the insight behind the story and then the screenplay. Both are
Hmm.
extremely critical, and hence I believe both need or want and fear are equally potent, good tools, provided they are handled by the right set of people.
Awesome. You answered all the questions. I'll think of more for the next one.
It's not important to pose questions that I'm unable to answer. You've done a good job at posing clarificatory questions such that all aspects of the topic come about. So you should be happy with your performance.
Yeah, despite your clickbait, I should be happy with my performance.
Thank you for listening to CoBB, Conversations on the Business of Brands with Sudeep Chawla and Sharavana Raghavan. Subscribe and learn more at cobcast.net.